Jai, 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 Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Shri the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Chai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. 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 All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, 6th canto, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, Chapter chapters 4, the Hamsagurya prayers, text 7. Everybody could please repeat. Na drumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drogdum arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha. Please chant.
Nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam
Panashri, you like to?
Nadrumebhyo mahabhaga dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha.
What do you like to chant?
Nadrumebhyo mahabhaga
dinebhyo drugdam arhata vivardayi shavo yuyam prajanam patayah smritaha. Na, not. Drumebhyaha, the trees. Mahabhagaha, O greatly fortunate ones. Dinabhyaha, who are very poor. Drugdam, drogdam, to burn to ashes. Arhata, you deserve. Vivardayi shavaha, designed to bring about an increase. Yuyam, you. Prajanam, of all living entities who have taken shelter of you. Patayaha, the masters or protectors. Smritaha, known as. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O greatly fortunate ones, you should not kill these poor trees by burning them to ashes. Your duty is to wish the citizens, prajas, all prosperity and to act as their protectors. Purport. It is indicated herein that the government or king has the duty of protecting not only the human beings, but all other living entities, including animals, trees, and plants. No living entity should be killed unnecessarily. So we'll read 8 and 9. Aho Prajapati Patir Bhagavan Harir Avyayaha Vanaspatin Vashodishcha Sasarjorjam Isham Vibhuhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, is the master of all living entities, including all the Prajapatis, such as Lord Brahma. Because he is the all-pervading and indestructible master, he has created all these trees and vegetables as eatables for other living entities. Purport. Soma, the predominating deity of the moon, reminded the Prachetas that this vegetation had been created by the Lord of Lords to provide food for everyone. If the Prachetas tried to kill them off, their own subjects would also suffer. For trees are also required for food. Okay, one more. Text 9. Anam charanam achara yapada pada charinam ahasta hasta yuktanam dvipadam cha trutashpadaha. By nature's arrangement, fruits and flowers are considered the food of insects and birds. Grass and other legless living entities are meant to be the food of four-legged animals like cows and buffalo. Animals that cannot use their front legs as hands are meant to be food of animals like tigers, which have claws. And four-legged animals like deers and goats, as well as food grains, are meant to be the food of human beings. Purport. By nature's law, or the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. Eatable or edible?
Eatable. Or edible.
Eatable or edible?
Neither.
As mentioned herein, Dvi Padam Cha Chudushpadaha. The four-legged animals, Chudushpada, as well as food grains are eatables for human beings, Dvi Padam. These four-legged animals are those such as deer and goats, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Generally, the men of the higher classes of society, the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, do not eat meat. Sometimes, Kshatriyas go to the forest to kill animals, like deer, because they have to learn the art of killing, and sometimes eat the animals also. Shudras, too, eat animals such as goats. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by human beings. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. All right, I'll read it again. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. Yours, that's what yours says? Well, which edition's this? Manu Samhita says, Pravittir esha bhutanam nivittis tu mahapala. We have many tendencies in this material world, but in human life, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. Those who desire to eat meat may satisfy the demands of their tongues by eating lower animals, but they should never kill cows, who are actually accepted as the mothers of human society because they supply milk. The Shastra especially recommends Kirshi Gorakshya. The Vaishya section of humanity should arrange for the food of the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to the cows, which are the most useful animals because they supply milk to human society. Om Jnanatipadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Malitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Kadirvachalam Pungam Langayate Gnanyakipatamahan Bande Shri Gurun Dilitanam Vancha Kapurivishta Kripa Sandhibevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Is there a special occasion today? No? No, that's not the special occasion. So, one of many devotees' favorite celebrations throughout the year is Radhastami, the appearance of Srimati Radharani, and a lot of temples throughout the world, they really put on a big celebration. They really, decorate and just, really celebrate. And one time in Hungary, in Krishna Valley, what's another name they call Krishna Valley? New Vrajadam, New Vrajadam, that project there in Hungary. Amazing project, farm. Devotees, somehow or other, Hare Krishna. Devotees, somehow or other, there seems to be a lot of devotees who are artists there. And it's displayed in their temple room, how artistic their temple room is, the deities, in terms of their dressing, the deities, and on and on and on. A lot of artists. So, one year, what they did for Radhastami is they decorated Prabhupada's Vyasasan, and Prabhupada would wear that hat. They call it like the Swami hat. Everybody's seen that hat Prabhupada wears. It's like covers your ears and he ties right here. So Prabhupada was wearing that hat, and that hat kind of looks like a captain hat, you could say. So anyways, he was wearing that hat, and the devotees, around Prabhupada's Vyasasan, they somehow or other built like a boat, type of boat, which was the Jaladuta. Or not exactly Jaladuta, but it was a boat. Like Rishi Kumar Prabhu was mentioned the other day, in the later cantos of the Bhagavatam, there's a picture, illustration, BBT illustration of a boat, and there's all the Kali Yuga activities going on in the ocean, and then some people are climbing on the boat, and Prabhupada's there. So it's a similar idea. There's a boat, and then there's different, you could say, recognizable devotees, ISKCON devotees, also there by Prabhupada. And then there was a rope that was going from Srila Prabhupada's, this boat, and it was going into the hand of Srimati Radharani, pulling. So anyways, this is what they did for that day. Now when we think of like pictures like this in our mind, or we think about this illustration in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, we think, okay, people are being saved, right? People are being saved from suffering, they're being saved from hell, like we were just reading in the 5th canto. But it's interesting because that's true, people are being saved, but actually we're not a movement, we're not a movement of salvationists. It means we don't identify as salvationists, people who are mad after salvation. Much of the religious world nowadays, if not all of it, is made up of people who are salvationists. They are very interested, not just interested, you could say addicted to this idea of themselves being saved. I need to be saved. And some of them, the more preacher types of certain religions, which a lot of religions are preachers actually, they also have this idea, I want to save someone. We want to save people. But we're not interested in salvation, but the movement is not a movement of salvationists, but it's a movement of persons who love Krishna, who are mad after Krishna's pleasure, who want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the salvationists, they're just thinking, me, 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 I need to be saved. Which is not ultimately the Vaishnav mood, that, oh, I need to be saved. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nadanam najanam nasundirim kavatam va jagadisha kame mama janmani janmarishvare bhavatad bhaktir hoita kitoi. He says, I do not desire wealth, I do not desire women, I do not desire followers. He also mentions what? Fruits of mundane piety. Liberation from this world, from limitless anxiety, right? Means he's not praying, Krishna, save me from this, I'm suffering, save me. He's not praying for that. What is he praying for? Pure devotional service, birth after birth. It doesn't matter. So that's, of course, it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he's teaching us. We shouldn't fall into the category of salvationists, but we should fall into the category of lovers of Krishna. Because because much of religion boils down to, yes, I'm saved. I'm saved. Right? I'm a Muslim, I'm saved. I'm a Christian, I'm saved. I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, I'm saved. I'm saved. And then it's just like, what after that? You're saved, but where's the love for Krishna? Where's the love for God? I'm not saying it's not there at all, but much of the time, I wonder, how much is it there? Because a lot of the times people just say, I'm saved, and then they just kind of coast on that. I'm saved. But this is a very base type of understanding of religion. This is like very low standard, actually. Just like, for example, I don't know if anybody ever here has, like we were just hearing about a Jamil. A Jamil, he was saved actually by the Vishnu Dutas. He was literally saved, right? Now you could imagine what type of relief he was feeling in his heart. Sometimes people are drowning in the ocean and they get saved, right? I mean, you feel a lot of relief. I don't know if anybody ever had that experience of almost drowning, and you feel a lot of relief, right? Or you feel relief. Or you're saved from a forest fire, right? But a Jamil, I mean, it wasn't just he was saved from death, but he was saved from these Yamadutas. I mean, these people are just like, if you really want to scare somebody, then the Yamadutas those personalities are scary. And it's not like some kind of cheap Hollywood type of scary personalities. These people are like, they're frightening. But he was saved from that, and then you can imagine how much relief. Now, it's not that after that a Jamal just said, all right, great, I'm saved, and just Narayan ki jai, and let me continue with my mundane life, and he wasn't coasting on this principle of I'm saved. But what did he do? He went to a holy place and he performed severe austerities. And he chanted the holy names of Narayan, of Krishna, and he purified himself further. So in other words, the sign that somebody is actually understanding the real purpose of religion, or the real purpose of Krishna consciousness, you could say, is that they are becoming more and more engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, of the spiritual master, of the devotees. That's how you could understand that's how you could see that somebody's actually understanding the purport. And again, this is a very base understanding. Oh, I'm saved. And now this should let me, like Prabhupada joked one time, he completed his quota of rounds and he put his bead bag down. He said, now I could do whatever damn thing I want. So it's not like that. Just like recently, I mentioned this some time ago, but not here in the temple room, that I was flying around all over India. So on one of the flights, I was there, and this devotee actually, they made this very wonderful thing. It's Madhava, Bhakti Vikas Swami disciple, and Yadubar Prabhu. They're working together, and they put all of Yadubar and Vishaka's work, all of the films, on one USB, and then they got this converter. So you get the converter, then you could hook it up to your phone or your laptop or whatever, and you could watch Following Prabhupada. So that was very good. I was watching Following Prabhupada for quite some time, and then while I was watching Following Srila Prabhupada, I had my headphones on, and there was some rough air. The plane was, going down and, a little bit. And so I said, okay, let me take off my headphones and kind of see what's going on here. And I put my hand in my bead bag. I was chanting Hare Krishna. And I think I did mention this actually here. Anyways, but it's relating to this particular point, so let's mention it again. Elaborating on the point further so it's like part 2. So then it became rougher, and then whether it was a girl or whether it was a few girls, but somebody screamed, and that didn't exactly help the situation. I was just like, when you hear a scream, it's just like, oh, yeah. You're like, oh, okay, somebody screams. So, I was just chanting Hare Krishna. And then it kind of like calmed down. It's calm, and then it's gone, and then started again. I was like, and then you see, some person was going like this with, the little, whatever, information pamphlet you read. She was going like this, and people were everyone was kind of quiet. So then eventually kind of mellowed out. But eventually we landed, and then once we landed, there was kind of like a sigh of relief, And everybody, you've been on those, sometimes even when the air is not rough, when people land, there's like a culture, okay, let's clap, right? So definitely on this one, there's kind of like a sigh of relief, and everybody started clapping. Everybody started clapping, and everybody's talking, all right. So then I was thinking, it's like, all right, okay, we survived, right? Okay, we survived. But then what? So what does it mean to really be alive? It just mean like, oh, well, I didn't die. Like that, does that mean that I'm alive? Just because I didn't die? It means that after a person's life is spared, there has to be a lot of activities, meaningful activities, profound spiritual activities, or else it's again this kind of base, oh, I survived. I'm surviving, right? I have a roof over my head. I'm filling my belly. I'm whatever. I'm getting some air and some sun, hopefully. Stinky laugh or you could cry. Some people, they don't get air or sun. But it's like, okay, but then what? So similarly with relating this to the religious world, to religious experience, to Krishna consciousness, that yes, there is a symptom of relief, battered in the material world in so many ways, right? Then come to Krishna consciousness. There's some relief, sure. And there's a sense of, there's also a sense of, you could say, salvation or being saved, right? But after that, there has to be a bunch of activities to, you could say, get to the real point. And the real point is get to loving Krishna. And also the real point being repaying the debt of trying to repay the debt of the spiritual master. You can never repay. We can never repay, but we have to try. So you could say, oh, somebody who gave me a process in which I'm feeling so much relief, so many benefits, and that's just like preliminary. It's not like, yes, I reached the goal of Krishna consciousness, I'm not suffering like a dog. It's just, I'm not being better than material world. These are just preliminary early stages. There's much more than that. So if one's making progress and feeling the benefit, then what should be the next step? Not just to coast, oh, I'm saved, and also not to coast in the sense that my guru gave me so much, I don't have to give anything. But another sign that one is understanding is that they do give something, and they give as much as they can. Blood, sweat, and tears. I was thinking about sometimes how would we relate, because tears, you could say, I would kind of relate with that. I don't know about all of you, but I kind of relate. Tears, you know, sometimes maybe you're discouraged, you're whatever. You're crying out to Krishna, right? So tears are there. Now sweat, okay, you're there, back there washing the pots, or you're out on Harinam or something. But I was thinking, what about this blood, right? Of course, you could say this is all, what do you call? Metaphor. But if you're out there hitting the mridanga on the streets for hours, sometimes blood, because the skin, you know, it's material body, it's not. So that's a way you could also, anyways. But we want to give, that's the thing, we want to give more and more and more. So in relation to, you could say, in one sense, yes, it's a movement in which is, of course, it's a movement in which people are being saved, but what does it mean to be saved? It means to be educated and to know what is right and what is wrong. What is the right path, what is the wrong path? Whether I should go this way, I should go this way. It means to have, to clear the mind. That's what it means to be educated. So, and what does it mean to protect people? To protect people means to educate them. What type of teachers are we if we don't educate students properly and in such a way as that they will be protected? And it's not that the teacher always has to be there for them to be protected. Much of the time the teacher's not there. And what to speak of, therefore, the principle of brahmachari guru kuli vasandanta. The brahmachari should serve as a menial servant in the guru's ashram. Why? You say, oh, why is it? This is kind of like, what's going on here? Because they need to become humble. You know, built into the human, right, psyche or whatever, built into the human experiences somehow or other, the pride there, right? Proud about this, proud about that, proud about so many things. So brahmachari, they're trained in such a way is that they're trained to become humble. And why is that important? Because later, they are meant to be gurus. And a guru has to be humble. So how can they be humble if they're not trained properly? They have to be properly trained in humility, and then they could become guru. Why? Because guru means that people are serving you. People are asking you questions. People are taking your advice. People are asking you questions. People are taking your advice. People are putting their lives in your hands. Practically, people are, serving you in so many ways. So if somebody's like that, you can't be proud and accept service. That's not proper or right. So I was thinking, like sometimes when I've had the opportunity to serve my spiritual master, His Holiness Giraj Swami, and you know, it's for a materialist, right? For somebody in the bodily concept of life or a materialist, it's very humbling serving another person. You know, you're sitting there, standing there, and you might be tired, you might be wanting to do so many things, and you're standing there serving them lunch. And then you're washing pots, right, that were used to cook for their lunch, and you're washing their laundry and all these different types of things, right? And you're not getting, it's not like, you know, in the material world, people are getting paid for this stuff, and yeah, no problem, you know. But, you know, you're doing it as a service. So I thought to myself a number of times that this is the service that my guru is performing. He is training me to learn how to be humble, how to serve in the right way. So it's important. So here, when it's mentioning government, king, the duty is to protect human beings. It means to educate them, to uplift them, to enlighten them, to protect them in all ways. And Prabhupada said women need protection, children need protection, Brahmins need protection, elderly men need protection, cows need protection. So it's the duty of the government to do that. And you could say some of the governments throughout the world are maybe trying to do some of these things. But much of them they're failing at doing. And when we talk about a society like the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, it means it's a whole bunch of people composed of women, children, elderly men, Brahmins, cows, right? We're trying to get, anyways. We're trying to get more cows to join our society. That's a tough, one. We're hoping, right? Yeah, we got 6 in ISKCON. We're trying to get 4. So, so when we're talking about International Society of Krishna Consciousness, then it falls on different leaders to protect these different persons who need protection. And also, I mean, if you want to call it a chain, which I don't really like that word so much, it reminds you kind of like the food chain or something, right? Which it's also mentioned here, but if you you can up the chain or up the leadership ladder or whatever you want to say in ISKCON, it's interesting because you go down to whatever, temple commander or Bhakti leader, or I've been around for 2 years and you've been around for 3 months type of thing. It's interesting because whatever particular situation we're in, we could either protect someone, encourage them, educate them, specifically those who are leading, or the opposite. So we want to be careful because it's amazing, even in, I mean, you go to like McDonald's or something, of course you don't go to McDonald's, but if you go to any, small, or it's not small, big corporation like this, and you get some manager there, right? I'm the manager of, McDonald's. I'm the manager of, what's that place called? Dollar Tree or something. And these people, they're on some type of trip, some type of mental thing. In other words, they have people under them and they're not really caring for them. They're not really, there's a bit of exploitation there. So you have to be careful. Protect and serve rather than opposite. So Soma, he's mentioning to Prachetas that you have to protect them. And he's saying that you cannot just burn down these trees. It's amazing because out of anger, people, they do foolish things that just don't make sense. Right? So anyway, Soma's saying you can't burn down the trees. This isn't a good idea. We need trees, right, for vegetation, so many things, for food and so on. Like, for example, sometimes people become angry. I think it's mostly amongst young men. I don't know if young women do it so much. Maybe. I don't think so, though. But it's a common thing amongst young men in America. They get angry, and they hit a wall. Like, do you know how like stupid that is to hit a wall? Yeah. They get their fist, and with all of their might, they hit a wall. Like that's going to help anything. All it's going to do is hurt their hand, break their hand. I mean, people break their hand like that out of anger. Now you think, okay, I don't know, you go hit a punching bag or you, whatever, Make sure you hit a wall that has thin drywall, something. So anyways, there's so many things that are done out of anger. Therefore, Krishna says, this is, there's three gates, right? Lust, anger, greed, leading to darkness, leading to H-E-L-L, three gates. Anger's one of them. So someone was saying, you have to cool it, right? Literally. And it's interesting because Soma, right, he's a moon god, it's very cool. And you have these prachetas who are very fiery and want to burn all these trees, right? So he's saying you have to stop. And then Prabhupada goes into the pretty much cow protection, how it's so important. And it's amazing, I was thinking earlier about cows. I mean, if you look at any other animal, cows are giving milk, which is valuable nutrition for humans, and giving, you would never think, but urine. They make all types of medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. Cow dung, they're also making, medicine and antiseptic. And you see these very beautiful structures, actually. They use cow dung anyways. Of course, if you haven't seen it, it's like, oh, God. But very beautiful, actually. And also, when the cow naturally expires, they'll use the cow skin for mridangas and things. So it's amazing, like practically every aspect of every point of a cow, or every what do you say? What would you say? Component of a cow's body is contributing to human society, and the humans take care of the cow. That's the principle. You take care, and you like a family member, and that's her contribution, giving these things. And also deity worship. You have ghee, right? What's deity worship without ghee? You have ghee wicks. So many ghee wicks are right every day. So many artis. And then you have cooking, right? In Ayurveda, it's very important, ghee and cooking, healthy. Fire yagyas, ghee. So in so many ways. Also using cow dung for fuel. So many ways. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted his followers to somehow or other tax their brains and to protect cows more and more and more and more and more. And to educate people, hey, this is wrong. You can't do that. You shouldn't be eating meat. Of course, people do whatever they want, but it's to educate people like that, and to help them come to the sattva guna, in which they naturally accept these things. Rajas and tamas means they could hardly understand what to speak of accept. Like, for example, I was speaking to somebody who was, whatever, Prabhupada said, I've studied the American people, Prabhupada said, and he said, they're good-hearted people. He said, I've studied them. He said, only problem is they eat meat. This is a problem. But I was speaking with one person, and good-hearted person, but lower modes of nature. And they were saying that, or she was saying that, it's really cruel. I mentioned this, but it's really cruel if you see these videos of the animals and, slaughter. Very cruel. And she said, but you just can't think about it.
Was that the answer?
Yeah, you just can't think about it, and you just, it's our food, and that's it. But people, they give all these, protein, like it's necessary. Something it's not necessary at all. So people need to be educated, And fortunate people, when they hear this, they say, yeah, I'm giving it up. That makes sense. I'm giving it up. And they give it up. And of course, further education, which is you should offer everything back to that whom it belongs, Krishna, right? Patram pushpam palam tvayam, offer to love and devotion to Krishna, and then on and on and on like that. So, does anybody have any question? Whoops. Or comment? So tomorrow's verse is 10. So. Okay.
Journey on the airplane and how they all clapped at the end. I was on a flight like that one time from Miami to Venezuela, and when they landed, they all broke into the national anthem. Like, I thought,
wow,
oh, what?
That's amazing.
They say they clap because they're so happy that the pilot actually pulled it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Balaram.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks, nice class.
Thank you.
Just a couple of reflections that I was having. You know, when you're talking about coasting, that I know that many times for myself even, that even as devotees we tend to coast. In that we're thinking, I've chanted my 16 rounds, you know, I'm reading, I'm, you know, A, B, C, D, I've checked off all these on the list. And I think it's a wake-up call for us that we also need to be striving. It's not enough that if you're like on a marathon, you've completed that marathon. No, we got to keep training. And I think as devotees, it's important that we keep training and upping the ante. What more can I do? And I think that speaks to our gratitude to our spiritual master.
Yeah.
And the other point you were making about, you know, serving our spiritual master, you know, for humility, I'm also thinking that it's also a labor of love, right?
Yeah.
So when we're similar to when a mother or somebody takes care of their child, there's no, you know, expectation of anything in return, but it's just because we love them. So in that sense too, there's that labor of love. And I think the benefit of that and a result of that is that humility that we gain. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's. I mean, in the earlier stages, it's out of duty. Okay, we know this is good for us. We're serving our spiritual master, and we may be thinking, yes, this is helping to become humble and things like that. But yeah, more advanced stages is that I have affection for this person. I have devotion for this person. I have given my life for this person. So yeah, I'm going to do something out of devotion for the person. That's more advanced stages. And we could think this is the least I could do. I mean, what, stand here and serve some prasadam? I mean, it's the least I could do. Or it's the least I could do is, you know, wash some clothes or iron some clothes or clean something. I mean, it's the least I could do. And we should try to think about it in a way that by doing these things for the spiritual master, that means he doesn't have to do it. And what does that mean? That means that he could focus on doing things, like focus on helping people, spreading the mission, doing things like that. I remember I was here with Tirtha Maharaj. He was washing his clothes one time, and I think he was folding his clothes, take them out of the dryer or something. Then he said, "Hey, Balaram," he said, "help me." He said, "Do something for humanity," which means like, okay, I help him, and this way he doesn't have to spend so much time doing that thing, and then he could spend more time helping people in Krishna consciousness and whatever, doing certain things like that. Like, for example, if I could reduce the time that my spiritual master spends in cleaning, cooking, etc., right? Then that means practically he has more time to help people. So, or write books, for example. Very hard to write books. It's, you know, you need a lot of time and energy. So yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class.
And as Jayapataka Swami said, you go on Prabhupada told him, oh, you should pace yourself like you're on a marathon. So that's, yes.
I had a simple question. Thank you for glorifying cows so much. And I was walking yesterday around the parking lot at Home Depot. I was with Bhakti Bob, and
You saw a cow?
I saw, well, the remnants of a cow. So someone had like a full meal that they had just kind of set on the ground. And it was carrots, and vegetables, potatoes, and then some kind of beef or something. And I was looking at it, and the colors of the carrots and stuff, they're so colorful, and even the potatoes, but the grayness of the beef, it was so unnatural. And I was thinking, none of the fruits and vegetables that we eat are really like the color of meat. It was so just unnatural to look at that. I was thinking, the cow's doing such a great service, and you showed how every piece of the cow is used in so many great ways to benefit others. And we know it's not great to take an animal birth, and we have to kind of move through the species of animals. So what if we take a cow birth and we give nice milk and we're ahimsa and we do our duty very nicely? When we die, there's something happen unique if you take a cow birth and you do quite good at that? Do we know?
Well, I mean, there's cases like in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, which Prabhupada said the Hare Krishna movement is a continuation of. But there's cases of like, for example, the dog going back to Godhead. So, in brief, there was a dog that was somehow or other joined the party, which isn't a very common thing to do. Joined Shivananda Sain's party. He was the organizer. He'd arrange everyone's lodging and prasadam on the long journey from Navadvip to Puri, because they would go for Rath Yatra, not like we just go up to LA, drive 2 hours back. Imagine we have to walk there. It'd probably, I don't know how many days it'd take to walk to LA. Maybe 2 days, 3 days? Anyway, something like that. But they had a long walk, so somehow a dog joined the party, and Shivananda Sain was, paying extra fees to get the dog over on the boat and, things like that. And then eventually, somehow this dog ran away or was lost. And then there was a whole search party searching, and then eventually they got to Puri, and then they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And he was there, and this dog was also there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was eating some coconut, and then he was throwing it to the dog. The dog was getting prasadam. And then he was telling the dog, chant Hare Krishna. The dog was chanting Hare Krishna. So then, so the next day, no one could, he was gone. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says it's understood he went back to the spiritual world. So, but you shouldn't take birth as a cow. So don't have any ideas like that. So maybe you should change your color soon so you don't, it's the color of a cow, white cow, Cows aren't orange, so.
I have plenty of black spots all over this too, so.
All right, so, any other thing? Is there
comment about cows?
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Cows, like any other animal, lack the self-awareness to perform actual bhakti, which is therefore the domain of human birth. That's why the Vedas say that one that considers the land of his birth as worshipable, etc., is no better than an ass or a cow. You think, well, wait a minute, we just heard about how glorious cows were, so why are they using cows in that example? Well, because cows, their next birth is human life. They're one of the gateways. So in answer to your question, if a cow, because the cow is in the mode of goodness, it's one of the gateways, and they take birth as a human being in the mode of goodness. At least that's the idea. But the cow itself cannot become a Vaishnava. They don't have the capacity to perform. Their consciousness isn't developed enough to consider what they're doing and offer it as an act of devotion.
Yeah, cow, mode of goodness, right? Birth, as a human. And then monkey, and what's the other one? Tiger. Yeah.
A lion.
line, yeah. I think Mukunda Chan Prabhu has something.
Well, yeah, I like what my J. Prabhu said. I brought this up in class before also. I'm still a little curious about it, but at least to add it to the conversation. I went back and confirmed that at least according to Lokanath Swami, Srila Prabhupada, when the bullock cart program was going on, said that those oxen would not take another birth. They would go straight back to Godhead, which I still find curious, but at least according to the bullock cart party, or Lokanath Swami at least, that's what Srila Prabhupada said, that they would not take another birth, which I find curious, but that was a statement apparently.
That's a very nice point. And Bhatta Garayan also often tells the story that Srila Prabhupada was using a desk on a train one time. And he said, because I'm using this wood in Krishna's service, the tree that gave this wood is becoming liberated. It's benefited. So when it's a Vaishnava culture, even the animals that can't themselves engage in purposeful devotional service, we engage the products of whatever they produce in Krishna's service, they benefit as well. That's all it's just.
Yeah, Shyamsundar told me that Prabhupada said that when he was riding on the train with the little fold-down desk and the table, a little fold-down table in the old Indian trains, the tree that created the wood that was this desk that we're now using to translate Bhagavatam becomes liberated. And in that context, when Prabhupada says liberated, he means it gets a human form of life. That's the context that he's using, liberated. So every rule has exceptions. I mean, there was that cow, it was a bull actually, that when Indradumna Maharaj was doing a week-long pandal at Govardhan Hill, and that bull, white bull, beautiful white bull with the hump, showed up, it was more regular than the brahmacharis, showed up at the start of the class, stayed for the whole program, outside the tent, big tent, pandal tent, and would listen. And when the class was over, he'd get up and wander off. He was there it was like a Bhagavad Shaptaha. He was there for 7 days, and after the 7th day, nobody ever saw him again. We had that dog Hari Ram. I mean, Hari Ram definitely, who used to come to the kirtan every evening and sit outside the window in New Vrindavan and chant with the devotees. And I mean, he was into it. The lead singer would be leading, and he'd put his head down and shake his head and listen. Then when the devotees chant, ow, 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 then when the devotees start, call response, he would stop, and he'd listen, and ow, 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 So there's exceptions to every rule, but that doesn't mean the rule, that exception determines our course of action. So both statements are true. We use the example of, camels and asses and, dogs and bulls and, but every now and there's an exception.
All right.
There's hunter. The hunter became delivered. Should we become a hunter? I mean, there's exceptions to rules.
All right. All right. Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.